even if you are in the market and you're just looking at homes, although it's good to see what's on the market and what's selling, but you'll never know exactly what the seller is thinking until you actually put
Pen
an
to
offer.
paper.
Yeah, whatever the agent says, whatever the seller's agent says,
It's all a tactic.
yeah, no one knows. I mean, like a lot of times when the seller's agent doesn't know what's happening in seller's mind. Hi everyone, and welcome to Reality Check, where we discuss what's happening in Toronto's real estate market,
Where it's going, and help you make informed decisions buying or selling.
So, back in 2024, how was the break, Devi?
What break?
Holidays.
I didn't have a break, did you?
I stayed in. Like, this was probably
No, it
the
was
first
nice.
year I was keeping it pretty quiet. Didn't do much
Yeah.
overall. I rested a lot.
Yeah, you
didn't-
did. A lot of changes happening. It's all good.
Yeah, it's good stuff.
year,
I
new
love
you.
it. New year, new me. New mic. We got new mics.
That was so
We
good.
got new mics. We got the new setup. We got my little tea mug here.
Is
It's
it
not even a
intense
coffee
when we
mug.
clap?
No, it's not gonna be intense.
I
No, I
hope
don't
not.
think so. So, 2023 was a funny year, though. It was
Fun?
funny.
I think,
It wasn't fun at all.
I think
It
this
was
is going to be a
funny.
fun year, but I don't think anything was fun about
I
it.
mean, so many properties that we would have thought it would sell overnight stayed on the market.
Yeah.
And we had probably the slowest year in real estate.
Yeah.
In the last, I went back.
They said 20 or 40 years? What
Well,
is
I went
it?
back all the way up to 2021, and that was the number. Since 2021, this was the slowest year.
I've heard it was even longer than that.
Well, 2021, we had about 66 or 67,000
Yeah.
sales. We had just
And now this year
shy
about
of
the same, yeah.
66,000 sales. I mean, and we had a huge population growth since 2001. I think GTA itself has gone up by about 2 million. And
I will say this because I always like to end things on a positive note.
we just started.
No, but like I'd like to end what you're saying
Mm-hmm.
with a positive note. And I feel like, yes, we can focus on the negative, but prices went down, but they didn't go down as significant as like everyone was so worried that they would. And I think that that's important. Like there were not that many sales, but there was still a healthy amount of sales, you know?
So
And
that is actually a really good point
yeah,
because
things still kind of traded. And yes, it went slower, but it was still
given the slowness, the
Yeah.
prices held pretty steady
tight.
since August, I would say. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we saw one of the lowest months was around August, and then after that, things were just going up and down.
Yeah.
And we're going to see it in the
in the numbers.
So, let's start with the market watch, the
Let's
usual
get
stuff.
into it.
So, we had in December just over 3,400 sales. Active listings went up to around 10,370. Average price kept kind of steady, around 1,084,692. And the month of inventory, as expected,
Rose.
yeah, but it was still
Yeah.
pretty good because we were over 4 months. We're just over 3 months of inventory. which
Basically
is a
everything
pretty,
went up.
well, I mean, it's pretty good. And just to follow up on the
Yeah.
fact that the prices held steady, I mean, just remember the fact that 2020 December, things were getting crazy just before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
And the average price in December was 932,000. I mean, even if you bought pre-COVID, which you thought you overpaid because craziness started around December, January, February, and then March we had COVID. The average price was 932. Right now you're at 1,084,000. So I mean, you're still higher if you bought pre-COVID. Let's go and take a look at just the year.
I do want to touch on, like, you know, how we just discussed before that, the months of inventory, how you could have really seen that. If you want to scroll back up.
Yep.
So you know how we always talk about months of inventory, and I want to show this as an example just because it so happens to be that this is just very easy to understand. So right now we're hovering at 3 months of inventory, and what that means is take a look at the active listings. You have the number, let's just say 10,000, and the number of sales just so happens to be also 3,000. So what that means is that if all of these active listings were to sell, it would take 3 months. Case in point, about 3,000 transactions per month. So that's kind of what I wanted to leave everyone with.
Yeah. So, what do you think of the number of sales? I mean, it was pretty good
I
compared
actually
to
don't think it's
last year.
bad.
It was pretty good.
I actually don't think it's bad.
Yeah.
We're up, guys. That's what people are not getting is like, we're up.
But one thing to
For December.
One thing to keep in mind is that the active listings dropped drastically month over month
Yes.
from November. So we're gonna go take a look at the chart that's gonna have a picture of the entire year from last December to this December, and this will paint a pretty good picture of what exactly has happened. I mean, one thing I really want to mention right now is the fact that active listings dropped drastically in December. Two main reasons. One, a lot of people, I would say in or around Christmas, properties that did not sell and were on the market, I would say at least for about 40 to 60 days, they all took it off the market.
They
And I
pulled them.
know for a fact a lot of them, because we had a bunch of clients that were looking at properties and they came out and they all gonna get relisted.
And this is across the board, pretty much everywhere in the GTA.
Yeah, most of them
It's a
that
theme.
are going to get relisted either going to get relisted probably around mid-January, or they're going to wait till the spring
March,
market,
yeah.
see what happens. So this is the reason why we see a huge drop in the number of active listings. So this is a little bit, I would say, skewed, but you know,
But this is where we're at.
It is what it is. In terms of average prices, you know, we were at 1,082,000 last month. I said probably we're gonna be at around the same, even maybe lower, but you know, it kind of held steady. That
Yeah.
goes to show that people are out there still buying despite the fact that the rates are still high.
And as we said in December when we were filming the last episode, we were saying we felt a little uptick.
Yeah, good one.
And
I
it
know.
is in fact translated in the numbers.
Yeah, that was. We saw that, especially I would say around the first 2 to 3 weeks, just before,
Yeah.
even between Christmas and New Year.
And New Year's.
Yeah.
Yes.
There were good enough showings happening, but still, as we can see, things are taking longer to sell.
And
32
that's
days.
why we say also, you got to be in the market to know what's happening in the market, because just being like, oh, this sold or this, you got to paint the whole story, and you got to, you know, call the listing agents and say, okay, you know, how many showings did you have? Like, do you have any offers? What did the offers look like, to kind of get a good picture of what's really happening? And you're not going to get that feel if you're not actually in the market, guys.
For sure, yeah. You have to be in the market to know what's going on. Just looking from the outside, not putting offers. And
Yeah.
one thing I really want to mention that I
Yes.
think it's important for people to consider, even if you are in the market and you're just, you know, looking at homes, although it's good to see what's on the market and what's selling, but you'll never know exactly what the seller is thinking till you actually put
Pen
an
to
offer.
paper.
Yeah, because whatever the agent says, whatever the seller's agent says,
It's all a tactic.
yeah, no one knows. I mean, like a lot of times even the seller's agent doesn't know what's happening in seller's mind. So
Yeah,
when
it's
you
poker
put,
face, right? People don't really give you all their cards.
and the second thing is, once you put an offer, let's just assume your offer is all cash offer. There's actually no financing. You're doing a quick closing. Seller finds it attractive for whatever reason.
And
or
things
maybe
change too for the
their
seller every
circumstances
day, every
have
week.
changed since last week. So I've seen it so many times that
Many times.
a week before we go in and, you know, they're not even willing to do a sign back. Next week they call back and
I
all of a
was
sudden,
literally just thinking the same thing. I was like, there's even been times where we put an offer together, submit the offer, and then the seller's like, no, no. And a couple days go by and the phone rings and it's completely dead. We're not in like counter offers. Like, we've moved on to like seeing other houses now. And the seller's like, hey, you know, is your client still interested? You know, I think finally after consideration, we can maybe make that number work.
Yeah.
And so
so that's the whole thing.
pen to paper.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go and play the whole year from January to December and talk about each one of these categories, going from number of sales, active listings, months of inventory, prices. But we want to start with number of sales and how it played out throughout the year and why it played out, because that will determine the price, months of inventory, and why things take less or longer to sell. So January, we had 3,100 sales with an average price of $1,038,000, which was the lowest of 2023. As we progress through the year, around April and May, we see an uptick in sales. I mean,
The why. The
so in April we had 7,500. In May we had just over 9,000. Reason being,
The interest rates held.
well, the interest rates were holding. The fixed year, fixed 5-year, 3-year, and 2-year were very attractive. I remember in May the 3-year fix was hovering at 4.79, whereas once June came around, 4.79 jumped to over 5. And in July, you would be looking at over 6%. I think it was around 6.29%. So, I mean, that's a huge jump. That's 1.5% jump in the rate, and that affects affordability a lot. So this is why we saw a huge uptick in sales. And if we go all the way down to the prices, we pretty much had the highest price of the year happening in May at almost 1.2 million, which was, things were getting crazy. We were seeing a lot of multiple offers.
Yeah, it was like very active again.
The reason we were seeing the multiple offers was the months of inventory. We were hovering at 1.3 months of inventory, just over 1 month. And that's when you start seeing prices go crazy. Average number of days were at their lowest of the year. And, you know, July came around, interest rate went up, and as you can see,
Yeah, you really see that.
sales started dropping, inventory started to build.
Absorption, if you see April, May, super healthy, and then as of June,
Yeah.
you're off
And
the radar.
again, August, we went close to 3 months. September, it went over 4. And then after that, we were over 4. Inventory was huge. In fall, prices start to drop. But the funny thing is, although the inventory started to build, the prices still kind of held, and they actually went up in September.
I want to pause on that. I'll tell you why I want to pause on that. If you guys take a look at how it built up, it's like people were waiting and waiting and waiting, and then in the summer, and then boom, what happened? People in the fall started to flood the market with
listing.
inventory,
Yeah.
because that's just what they're doing. Just like people that pulled all their listings in December to relist in the spring.
Yeah.
You're going to have an influx of listings, but you're also going to have an influx of buyers, I think.
Yeah.
So I think it will be balanced a little bit.
Well, I mean, like, this shows that, I mean, the sales didn't pick up, but the interesting thing is that the prices went up. And I think the reason for that was a lot of sellers were also holding out and didn't have to sell. Because we got to keep in mind, the economy is still doing pretty good. Employment levels are pretty high.
Yeah.
People are still having income to keep their home. So if they don't have to sell, they're not selling.
And here, though, we didn't have one factor, and one key factor is the interest rates had just started to hold, but they didn't drop.
Yeah.
And that's why I really wanted to touch on that is when they do drop.
Oh, what's going to happen?
And you're going to have the influx of yeah.
What's going to happen?
What do you think is going to happen, guys? Like, pause, save, screenshot this chart. Really look at the numbers, look at everything. Call us if you want us to sit on a call with you and just like go over everything, because the interest rates are really going to dictate what's going to happen in the spring.
Well, I want to actually talk about this because I
wanted
think
to talk about this. I love that. Yeah, no, I do. I'm excited.
Let's go through this chart because this is going
Love
to
it.
show exactly what happened. I mean, this is the dot chart that we had. Previously, we always talk about it. I mean, the craziness that we saw in the February of 2020, you see things going out of line. I mean, like we had January, February just going crazy. But
Look how far apart.
it's insane. I remember January and February, like everything that was selling, the next sale was happening, you know, easily about like 5 to 10% higher than the last sale. I mean, that's not sustainable. And this is why you see things like this. But as soon as the interest rates went up, so we were in February at 0.25% for the Bank of Canada overnight rate. It goes up to 0.5%, the prices start to come down. It goes up another, we went up 0.5% after that, and the prices slowly came down. And when we had the highest increase, that it went from...
Big increase, the whole point.
Actually, no, sorry. We had another 0.5 point increase, and that was in June. And that was, the prices came down. And the biggest increase of them all, that was a 1% increase. That's when, you know, we saw pretty much almost the bottom of the market back in 2022, and things held steady. But look at what happened. I mean, the interest rate still kept on rising, but the prices did not fall as much. I mean, at the beginning, we with a little bit of an increase, the prices came down pretty
Declined.
rapidly. But as the interest rates rose, the prices kept steady. And we had the lowest price point, I would say, in the last
In Jan.
18 months to 32 years in January of 2023. But look at where the overnight rate was. We're at 4.5%. And we
And
went
then
up
what
to
happened?
5%, and the prices still went up. So that goes to show there's a huge demand. I mean, like, what's going to happen if this 5% comes down by 0.25? What do you think that's going to happen when all along it's been holding pretty steady? I mean, like, if it went up to 5%, we should have been down another 10%, 15% in prices. We should have been down on an average price point in GTA, what, around 900,000? We're still over 1,080,000. What do you think is going to happen this year, 2024, with the interest rates coming down, if it comes down?
I think it's going to come down. I think like every institution across the board is really saying everyone's in line with the fact that the interest rates need to come down and will in fact be coming down. And I think they have like targeted projections, and I don't want to get into what those numbers are because obviously we don't know inflation, this, that, and the other. But guys, there's a lot of people here, and that's what people are overlooking. And there's a lot of immigration, and there's a lot of migration across the provinces. And so I think it's going to be a wild year. Like, I'm actually very excited for this year. I think transactions are going to be up significantly. I think prices are going to go up. I'm not going to say significantly on that, though, but I think there's going to be a lot of multiples. And I'm looking forward to it. I really am. What about you?
I'm interested to see what's going on because...
what do you think is going to happen, though? Do you think it's going to go like...
well, I'm going to have my prediction session later on, I guess.
Am I going to be here?
Well, you can't be here, to be honest. Like, I personally think as soon as... I don't even think we're going to wait for the actual
I think February.
variable rate to come down for the prices to go up or for the market to pick up. I think as soon as the 5-year fix comes down, which is coming down. As of now in January, we've seen 5-year fix come down. We're seeing fixed rate mortgages in the high fives, whereas they were well over 6%. And I think once we hit around 5% or lower than 5, which I think soon it's going to happen, I'm giving it, this is going to be a prediction, I guess. I'm giving it probably in the next, I'm guessing 30 to 60 days.
Yeah.
We could see something like that because the bond rate has been coming down.
Yep.
Once that happens, I think we're going to start seeing a craziness that we saw back in 2021. Reason for that is the average number of sales that we had, like actual transactions in 2023 was so low, it can't justify the fact that there's no demand. There's so much demand. People are all sitting on the sideline, which...
and asking all the right questions, which means people are kind of like 1 foot in and 1 foot out. And right now the phone's been ringing a lot more than it was. So you could tell people are looking for what's my next step? What's happening? Is it the time? Everyone's like kind of just waiting to
waiting
jump.
to see.
And it takes that one person, like that one house on your street, the second house on your street, for there to be third, fourth.
So I want to talk
It's
about
that
that
sheep
because I
effect.
saw this, and we always talked about Oakville for the last, I would say, couple of years because the prices came down drastically there. But one thing that was really interesting, in November, I started seeing homes selling within a week, 2 weeks.
3.
And in December, I saw so many homes sell within a week, 2 weeks, or the ones that were sitting on the market that start to absorb. And we're going to see this right now. We're going to talk about Oakville in a little bit. That the average price went up so much so that I was shocked. And we're going to see that's one of the only areas that I think the average price went up that much this year. But let's go back. We're going to look at the GTA as a whole right now, just as an overall 12 months. So every time we're recording this
segment,
we are talking about what's going on with like December.
Last month.
Yeah, December to the other December. But what we're going to talk about right now is overall what happened in 2023 compared to 2022 in each market. So we're going to talk about the average prices and how each area performed year over year. And keep in mind, 2022, we had a blip. January, February, prices were crazy.
There's always something happening,
it came
apparently.
down, yeah. And then 2023, I would say, was more of a stable market than what it was in 2022. So let's start with GTA. GTA average price for the year 2023 was 1,126,600. The average price overall in 2023 compared to 2022 was down 5.4%. Sales were down 12%. Again, this is the lowest number of sales we've had since 2001. It's like nuts. What's going to happen in 2024? I for sure think, unless something crazy happens again, this number is going to be back up over 75,000.
Yeah.
But again, we'll talk about that more
I'm
in the
there with you.
predictions. Average number of days went up 26%. We see things sitting on the market much longer. So this is overall in GTA. Let's go to Toronto market and see how Toronto performed. Interestingly enough, average price in Toronto went down only
3%.
3.8%. Again, reason being Toronto is a little bit more stable in terms of prices. The detached market has been performing pretty decent, but number of sales are down 12%, which is in line with whatever happened in the overall GTA. Average days on the market went up by 25% to 20 days. What do you think
How
right now?
fast were things selling before?
Things were selling pretty
Too
fast.
quick.
Yeah,
Impulsive buyers.
And the month of inventory is hovering at 3.48. So again, keep in mind.
All home types.
All home types, yeah, because there's a lot of condos right now sitting on the market that are not selling. I mean, average price of a condo right now is sitting at 709.
Only 641 sales though.
Yeah, that's nothing.
I know.
That's nothing.
Only.
One thing that worth mentioning is that pre-COVID, February of 2022, average price of a condo was hovering close to 800,000. So if someone is looking to be buying, I don't think you're gonna find a better time to be buying a condo right now than in Toronto. Also, assignments. Oh my God, I like this thing. To be honest, the amount of assignment deals we've helped our clients with, and
great deals though. That's what really the whole takeaway is. Great deals.
I wouldn't say this. I would say 3 years ago, 2 years ago, to buy assignments, unless you really wanted it in a certain project that was sold out, and you would have to overpay. And that's why everyone bought pre-construction to assign, because every time they made money. But right now, it's the opposite. People are either not qualifying or they can't afford the payment, so they're letting go of the condos. You definitely get much better deal. I want to talk about one deal that we did in assignment back in December. Townhouse, close to 1,200 square feet. Pickering, brand new, that's coming into occupancy probably in like a few months. Less than 700,000. I don't want to say the exact number, but it was nuts.
But you're also in Pickering, different markets, which we'll get into, I guess, closer to.
Yeah, but I want to put things in perspective that right now pre-con in Pickering is hovering at about $1,000 a square foot. So
which
this
I
is
think is still great
1,200
value.
square feet. So
I remember that.
Yeah,
yes.
This is good deals. And Pickering, to be honest, like Pickering is closer than I thought it would be. I don't know why.
You're not in sales.
It's interesting. The amount of times I've gone to Pickering. Mississauga. So Mississauga's sales are down by 5%. Again, we're talking about sales prices are down by 5%. We're talking about 2023 is lower 5% compared to 2022. So the average price there is $1,057,700. Number of sales are down 15%. Average days on the market, like everywhere else, is higher. We're gonna go to Brampton. Brampton was crazy because prices in Brampton shot up so much. I think back in February of 2022, we talked about it. Brampton had the highest increase in the entire GTA for average prices, especially their detached and semi segments. Now the prices have come down. They're hovering at around $1,050,000. And I would say this is one of the most affordable area in GTA with Durham that you can right now purchase.
For now. I feel like it will go up.
Or it will go crazy.
Yeah. How many months of inventory? Go down a bit?
2.59. So this means prices will probably go up. Again, it all depends. We're going to see what happens in January. Listings are going to go up most likely. I'm guessing sales should go up
January
too.
can really go either way. And I say that because the first 2 weeks are kind of a write off. Everyone's kind of slow getting their kids back in school. And like they're not really thinking about, oh, let me put my home on the market now, today, or let me go and buy something today. But it's like the last 2 weeks will really be the indicator of how January performed. What do you think is going to happen?
I think January, starting, I would say second week of January, we're gonna start seeing sales increase. And
But
the
like
reason for
fast
that
forward,
is,
let's say it's February and we're looking back on January. What do you think is going to have happened in January?
I'm trying to think, because if we lost the
It's-
entire week of it,
2 weeks, technically. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like, how well can it perform? Let's just
I
say.
think the average price, that's a tough one.
I think it's
that-
going to be flat.
Well, it's gonna be flat, but will it be slightly higher or lower? Yeah, I think it's gonna be flat. Yeah, that's what I think too. I don't think anything
I
crazy
think
is gonna
everyone's
happen.
going to wait because the announcement. Everyone's going to wait to see what's happening
Well,
on the
announce-
24th.
Yeah, I don't think anything's
Jan.
gonna happen. I think it's gonna be a
So it's
pure
going to be
hold.
slightly lower.
Yeah. Well, we'll see if I'm wrong.
I
But
say lower, slightly.
what, they're gonna bring the
Every-
rates? Not?
No, the prices. I think the
Oh, the
prices are going to drop
prices-
just a tinge. And then February, like,
Yeah, I want to mark that.
yeah, I
We'll
want to
see. We'll go
mark
back.
that.
We'll go back to it. Condo is in
He's
Brampton.
looking at the camera, looking to mark it.
Condos in Brampton, only 14 condos for sale. That's one thing I really want to talk about is there's a lot of condo assignments right now in Brampton. I think it's a good opportunity because Brampton does not have that
many, yeah.
many new condos being built. So if anyone's looking for investment, I think it's a great opportunity because majority of the condos are pretty old.
They're like apartment buildings. They're not really condominiums.
Well, it's not like
technically, yeah.
downtown Toronto. It's getting developed. There's a lot of new developments.
Which
Oakville.
means, wait, what does that mean when there's a lot of new development? It's a good time to buy now.
Yeah.
Because you're going to make money on your investment.
Exactly.
That's what it means.
Yeah, you want to get in there once.
Like Hamilton.
Yeah, Hamilton is another good area
Every
to
time
invest
someone
in.
wants an investment right now, I'm like, guys, Hamilton. It's your next best bet.
Yeah, and there's a lot of good assignments in Hamilton.
Condos, even bungalows. Wait, let's not overlook the bungalows.
New developments.
Yeah, there's so much opportunity in Hamilton. Anyways, I'm diverting, obviously, but
We'll talk about
Yeah.
that in another time, but I want to plug the
Oakville? You
no
wanna
plug
Oakville?
plug our WhatsApp group for assignments.
Yes.
Crazy deals there. I saw a Nobu
I
unit,
saw this morning you posted.
$599 for a Nobu 1-bedroom.
If
That
you're an
is-
investor, that's where you need to be.
that is crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, so Oakville. So this is what I really wanted to talk about because, okay, year over year, the entire 2023, the prices are down by about 5%. So we're sitting at 1,543,799 for average price. Number of sales are down by over 5%. Days on the market has gone up, but one thing that's really interesting is the average price. December to December, it's gone up 12%. So the average price last year was 1,450,000. Now we're at 1,630,000. That
It's
is,
recovered and made way.
yeah, that's 180,000. That's amazing. So this is why I think, we were talking about it earlier this year, around August, that Oakville is rebounding, and now we see how it did. Months of inventory has gone down drastically. Months of inventory in Oakville was over 5 months at one point, and now we're down to 2.73. So if you're looking to buy in Oakville, probably you got a short window opportunity left. York region, I'm talking about Richmond Hill, Aurora, Newmarket, average price is down 3.6%, which is really interesting because York had huge fluctuations. This year, York region actually surprised me and held the prices pretty well. We're sitting at 1,340,000. So York region prices held pretty steady in 2023. And one of the main reasons that I believe what we saw throughout the year, and despite the fact that interest rate went up, inventory started to build, prices has kept pretty steady overall in Richmond Hill, especially in Richmond Hill, I would say. Aurora Newmarket was because of the influx of people that came to GTA, especially through immigration. I mean, you could probably not find what you find in Richmond Hill in terms of detached for that price. So in detached in Richmond Hill, you're looking at easily, around 1.6, 1.7 million. Let's just say you can buy a beautiful house, whereas in Toronto, that's not going to get you much. If you're looking for town semis, there's plenty of options. You can even get in Richmond Hill right now, there are townhomes, new development, stacked towns for about 1,500 square feet. You're getting below $1 million.
And you're not that far from the city anyways. You're literally a hop skip on the highway, 30-minute drive.
You got the 407, you got the 404.
All the highways.
Yeah,
All
so
the
I
things.
think that's one of the main reasons why we saw York Region hold pretty well, because usually they have pretty big swings with the rates going up and overall when the market slows down. And right now, months of inventory is pretty low. I mean, like, things are selling pretty well. What do you think, Dev?
Yeah, no, I think it's so adjacent to the city. So I think that has to do with why it held and why it's performing, because it is performing similarly. And I always find it's less impacted than downtown. Like downtown is like very volatile, but it is resilient more than anything else. But York always performs pretty healthily.
Yeah.
Like Mississauga usually drops and goes up and down, like, but York is like, I think if you're looking for a home, it is a really good place to go and park yourself and park your money, because long term, it's just really healthy on an incline.
Yeah. So we talked about the market watch. We talked about the average prices overall. Let's talk about mortgage rates. Majority of the news outlets everywhere, they're predicting the rates to come down. I mean, I've seen people talk about the rates coming down as much as 2.5%. I don't see that happening personally, but again, who knows? I think we could expect around 0.5% to as much as 1%, but again, I'll leave my predictions for the time I start doing predictions. And in terms of mortgage rates for fixed rate mortgages, I think those are fixed term mortgages, and I think those are the ones that are gonna really start to creep down before the variable comes down. Especially in the first, I would say, quarter, we're gonna see hopefully low 5%, and that will really spruce up the market.
Yeah.
Anything else we should add, Devi?
No.
No, I think
I just keep thinking of when I saw like the 0.25% in I think it was February of 22 in the other
0.25%.
chart.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Here.
And I'm thinking like all I was going through my mind at that moment was
I buy?
no, all I was thinking was I want to know, like I almost want to pull this. Who took a variable rate on that? I'm like, how low did you think it was going to go? Did you think the bank was going to give you money? Like,
well, the variable rate was like still like pretty low, like slightly,
I know,
yeah.
But that's what I'm saying is how much lower did you think it was going to go?
Well, they said it was gonna be low till 2024, 2025.
Many people,
clearly not.
Like every client that told me they were thinking variable, I said, guys, just lock it in. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Lock in fixed 5 years.
But that is
headache-free.
that is gonna come to an end soon within the next 24 months. So we'll see how that goes. With that being said, I think we did it for the first episode of the year. We're gonna start a podcast, so all of these episodes are gonna go on a podcast, so be on the lookout. We're gonna send an email out to our email database to join, and please, if you find this information useful, it would mean a lot if you guys subscribe, like, and share with your friends,
and tell us what you want to see more of, guys,
and please comment below. See what's going on with it.
Feedback's always good.
Be sure to watch our last episode with Joe Trimboli.
Yes.
That episode was amazing. I mean, I was just sitting here just listening to him, and at the end it was crazy. We got to get him back on the show again.
There's a few more segments to get out of him for sure.
It was amazing.
Maybe mid-year we should do it as a, okay, guys, let's just get a Q4, Q3.
And let us know who you want to see on the podcast, because I think we got a bunch of good ones coming up. And we're going to have one coming up next month about buying into investment properties and how to manage Airbnb. So be on the lookout for that. And
amazing.
We'll see you next time.
Happy New Year, guys.